All right, Whitney, dude. Little bit of a commotion. I don't have a word for it, but a spicier morning than I was expecting. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. We're having fun, right? I'm excited. I know the community's got a lot of positive and negative comments. Builders have had some comments for us. Um, but I'm excited to talk about why we did what we did and how we feel it's going to benefit everyone in the long run.
There you go. What we're talking about is the ring fence token. I mean, look, we did a swarm report this morning, and people had noticed that two things: tokenomics hadn't updated on the ring fence listing, and then separately, it disappeared from the Genesis launches. So, right, we saw Cats tweeting about that this morning, and Goon and Will and like the thought leaders of the space noticed it, and they're like, "What's going on here?" And since then, and since that show ended, we noticed Ring Fence went live, but not via Genesis. Looks like prototype, I think, and
Yes,
we'll get
yes.
into that in a second. But just set you guys up of where we're at. No intro here, by the way. We're just going in raw, and I'm going to tweet out the show real quick. This is pretty impromptu, so let's get this out there. But why don't actually, while I'm sharing it, why don't you tell people what's going on? And the token did launch, so walk us through the launch and then the whys.
Yeah, so it's very important for us that we let the community know that Ring Fence token is coming, and that's why we set up the Genesis launch. We also wanted to draw a lot of attention to the Genesis launchpad because we do feel like Genesis is an amazing product for teams, right? But it's not the best product for every team, and it's important to be able to discern where you fit in the launchpad dynamics of virtuals to make sure that you're launching in the right way. That's not only going to benefit virtuals, but most importantly is going to set you up to have success as a business, which ultimately is what every token that launches through virtuals should be attached to, right? A functioning business that is focused on generating revenue and ultimately getting profitable, right? Ring fence, I mean, we've been here for a long time, right? We've been in the space now, interacting with people within the virtuals ecosystem, yourself, others, and we've always known that we wanted to launch on Ringfence. I shouldn't say always, but since we were made aware of everything that was going on within the virtuals ecosystem, we always knew that Ringfence was best suited as a virtuals product, and that's why we decided to launch on virtuals in the first place. Now, for us, it's hard, right? Just frankly speaking, I know we everybody wants a fair launch. Everybody wants like as many tokens as they could get at the lowest valuation that they can get. And if you're a new team with one or two builders and a novel idea, and you want to get distribution, you want to get some great people in your corner through like the virtual partner network or the distribution that virtuals brings, Genesis is bar none the best option for you, right? If you want to launch memes, right? They've got Luna.fun. You've got your opportunity there. In our opinion, for established teams that already have pre-existing valuations that are pegged to previous rounds that they've raised, that have a cap table of people who have paid X amount of dollars for X amount of tokens already, prototype is really the choice for these teams. And I want to explain why. When you launch a token on Genesis, your token goes live at a $200,000 valuation or thereabouts, right? Now, for a team like Ringfence, who our last round was at a $35 million valuation, transparently, right? If I am going to go to my investors, some of whom paid a tremendous amount of their own money to get tokens at a valuation of 35 million, if I go to them and say, hey guys, we've got this great opportunity to launch on a platform that's going to give people, 37% of our supply for $200,000, you guys we never would have released the token at all, right? It never would have occurred. It just would not have been allowed by our investors, by our stakeholders, by the people who have given us their hard-earned money to make sure that we do our darndest to show them a return. So prototype, therefore, was the best option for us because it allowed us to properly allocate our token supply to all of our stakeholders. And most importantly, we were able to give away tokens then as opposed to selling them at a low valuation. So rather than doing this thing where we said, hey, look, let's sell these tokens for less than they are worth, far less than they are worth, and then we're at the whims of the market, we decided instead to go with a prototype launch so that we could control our destiny and we would have the treasury that's necessary to continue to grow and build our business. We've hit this weird dynamic where people are afraid to say the quiet part out loud, and that like tokens are supposed to generate money for the business, right? They're not supposed to be like the exit opportunities for the founders, but they are necessary to fund the treasury for a substantial business. And like this gives us the ability to do that. And For those of you, I mean, right? You're building stuff in AI. It's expensive. So you got you need to have the funds to
Dude,
carry
yes.
on.
Well, but first
Yeah.
off, I got to say too, like chatting with you last week, I think last week, and I said it live on the stream. I like how you're talking about this stuff, man, way more real, like in a way that I don't hear other teams and people in the community talk about it. And it's talking about stuff that maybe like people just assume is how it works, but we play the degen game and we want these tokens in a way that benefit us the most. I get it. Like I'm a community member and I'm a degen and trader too.
Same.
But then there's reality of, teams like you're saying, teams who are building and what the token is for. And I always look at them as a way, right, that both sides are sharing in, a project's success. And I think this chat here also tomorrow, we'll pitch that a little later, but also tomorrow, it's kind of pulling back the curtain a little more and explaining, what the tokens really are and how they'll be used and why they matter to both sides here. I also want to say too, like a lot of I'm starring, I'm saving all these comments here because I'm with you guys. Like I said, in the community, the same questions, concerns, whatever, and the things that might not look right to you, like in a typical launch, like I see those too, and I have the same questions. And Whitney's been like, dude, ask everything and anything. It's all fair game. That's what I loved about Whitney when I met him really last week. I'm like, okay, I get it. I think he's a straightforward dude, and I think the reputation is there too. I've never heard a negative thing about you ever. And so all that is just a setup as we get deeper into this chat here. And I don't even know how long we're going to go.
So I can't say I'm a perfect human being, right? Like I've made mistakes. But one of the things that for me is really important is like we're at the beginning of building our business. So we want to make sure that people understand that we're just getting started. So I know there's questions about tokenomics. There's questions about right now, why is so many of the tokens, why are they held in, one address? But the reason for that is because we just launched the token recently, right? And as a part of that, we bought all of our tokens so that we could distribute them as we want. I told you guys a week ago, right, that it's my job to try and control as many of these ring fence tokens I can as long as I can. But that said, the only people who have received distributions of the ring fence tokens today are the virtual supporters in the ecosystem. So if you're a V virtual staker, check your wallet. If you're a Chavi staker, check your wallet. If you're a Ringfence data agent owner, check your wallet. And if you've been helping on any of these chirps or marketing campaigns, you guys have also, got some rewards coming your way. Who doesn't have tokens is me and the other two core team members or any of our team, right? Our team allocation is at 20% of the total token supply, which I know is maybe higher than the 15% that some of you feel is where it should be. But in reality, we have a pretty big team and we've got a lot of people that we need to take care of. Now, what we're going to do to assuage any fears that the community might have that like the team is going to sell is we're going to publish our wallets. Like you're going to have my wallet that will hold the Ringfence tokens that I am to receive over the course of the next 2.5 years. And you can track, like you can see if I'm full of shit or if I'm for real. And you're going to be it's all going to be on chain, right? Now, it's my job to make sure that through this launch, also the business has the funding that it needs to continue on towards our mission. So when it comes down to how we're thinking about that right now, our treasury will be managed on chain as well. So we're going to have treasury management services. So some of our tokens that are labeled as treasury will go to treasury management. And this is going to ensure that the business is always able to stay funded and able to continue to grow the way that we want so that all shareholders and stakeholders can derive value. We've talked a lot about over the past couple of weeks, or week, I should say, about how it's our goal to buy back and burn all of the tokens. Okay, now we have to have a revenue generating product to do that, folks, right? And in order for us to build a compelling product, market that product, convert customers, sometimes for a fee or without a fee, we need money. And it's unrealistic in this world today to go into a situation and expect for a launch to just be something where a ton of free money is given away and nothing then returns to the team. This kind of behavior actually incentivizes the extractions that we all hate, So I think we just need to come out and start saying the quiet part out loud. And the quiet part out loud is that yes, do I want to make money off of Ringfence? 100%. Why would I do it if I didn't want some kind of financial gain from this? I've got a wife and a family. I have people I need to support, but at the same time, I'm not looking to make my money now. We're just getting started. Right? This is like holding something and selling it for, $500,000 market cap and then watching it run to 5 billion over the next 2 years. Why would I do that? I've spent 2.5 years not making money already building this thing. why would I, now that we're just getting things really started, just like completely blow the reputation that I've spent years and years building and burn essentially all of the community that I'm excited and looking forward to hopefully supporting over the next few years.
Yep. Okay. Well, I like it. We have a lot of questions, comments still to get to. Guys, please put them in the chat too. If there's, and hopefully you guys see what's already been asked. If you see it there, I've started, right? But ask anything that you haven't seen, or if there's a point we haven't hit yet, we'll get to all those. I'm going to start with one of my questions, which is, who knew of the prototype launch ahead of time? Both like knew the change from Genesis to prototype, but also knew when this was going live. I got to assume virtuals, because we all got, a token claim. If you stake virtuals, I checked, I've got tokens to claim there, which I love that part. But yeah, who had the heads up about this?
So, I mean, everyone that we were working with on our launch had a heads up. We didn't want anyone to feel like we had done a bait and switch, right? So anyone who has been working with us on our launch, whether it's marketing or messaging or, our VPN, everyone was aware, right? Now, that doesn't mean they were aware of the exact timing. No one was aware of the exact timing except for virtuals and Ringfence. And that was, how we worked it out together. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into pulling down a Genesis page and starting all of the messaging and launching a token and distributing a token all within a span of 4 hours, right? So we worked very closely with them to make sure that this was done in accordance with what they and we felt was going to be best for the community. So that's really it.
Yep. Okay. I mean, and so to be transparent, and this is because we're doing this show tomorrow, I knew that there was a switch from Genesis to prototype. No idea it was going to be today. Caught me way off guard. In fact, when I got a message from a friend here and said, dude, what the fuck is this? Like, is this real? I'm like, I think that's probably not real. I was expecting some people to come out and spoof Ringfence and try to launch tokens. I'm like, I would bet that that's not real. Again, had no idea it was today. Kind of assumed, and maybe I still think it would have been cool to do this, that, announcement during the show when it opened up tomorrow and saying, hey, in 2 hours it's going live and you'll have the chance to get, but you open it up to snipers then too. And I don't know. I think there's no perfect way to do that. And that's important to point out. There is no perfect way to launch a token. We have found that Genesis launches are not a perfect way to launch a token either. Prototype, for me, feel kind of old school. I think they bring some of the electricity and excitement back. I've been since Dr. Emma Sage saying, I hope we see a ton more prototype launches. They just feel like, that if pure is the wrong word for any kind of token launch, maybe, but I'm like, it's more pure. There's something there.
I mean, ultimately what we really need to get renewed interest in virtuals is we need spontaneity. And like Genesis is fantastic. This is not to throw shade at Genesis, but if every launch on a protocol is programmatically scheduled, it's only a matter of time before people lose interest, because everything then comes down to like what's on the schedule, right? I mean, all you have to do is like think of TV. You know when to turn the channel off based on the TV guide, right? Like as you're watching on TV, you're like, oh, I don't like this show, so you just turn it off. And we can't allow the virtuals network to get turned off. So what we wanted to do is make sure that we put focus back on where spontaneity can occur while not, throwing shade at Genesis, because Genesis is, like I said, a very valuable product that I think is only going to continue to improve over time. And we're going to see more and more great teams come on, right? But we got 2 launch pads for a reason. We need to understand which one you should use, right? Like if you got a hammer and a screwdriver, you don't use them both for the same thing. You need to know when to use the applicable tool. And for us, the applicable tool was prototype. The other thing that really for us, it's about is like, I get the concerns. I really understand. I've been rugged. I understand it. It sucks. I understand that it's really hard to trust people. But I mean, we're a venture-backed company, right? I am American as fuck and totally doxxed, right? So if I did something wrong or untoward or fraudulent, I mean, the community can get mad, but my investors will prosecute me, right? So like, it's just something where I felt a little bit more comfortable doing a thing like this, for one, knowing my motives, right? But then the other side of this is knowing that like, I was hoping that people would understand that they didn't need to do as much DD, because there's, like tier 1 and tier 2 VCs that committed, hundreds of thousands of dollars that certainly did their diligence before they gave us money. So, we took a little bit of liberty because we felt we could. We're not an anonymous team. We're not flying under the radar. We're super public. I like talking to people, so I don't care. Like positive, you can say whatever you want to me. I'll always be there to at least converse with you. So, Yeah, that's why we did this. That's our goal was to just draw attention and have some fun. One thing that you said though that I want to just throw back to is the stream tomorrow. So for me, it was very important that we whip up this frenzy and launch our token today so that we could not make tomorrow's stream about our token. Because like the most important thing for us, I mean, we're essentially infrastructure for virtuals, right? So we need builders, right? And the only way that we're going to get more people building is if more people are talking about virtuals. So tomorrow, you and I are going to do the marathon stream of marathon streams, which essentially now is just a 12-hour commercial for all of the builders in the virtuals ecosystem. And that's exciting because like Base App is launching soon. You're going to have a ton of US retail that's looking to figure out which of these 700,000 tokens I should buy. We want to give them a full day on the timeline that they can see a dozen or so projects that, you know, hit a mark for them. And that's really our goal.
Yeah, when you pitched me on the show too, asked me to join it, like, first off, hell yeah, just I like doing the shows, I like streaming. I again, we vibed well, but it was kind of framed around this. It was framed around the fact that the Base app is going to be integrating DEXs from Base, meaning all these virtual tokens are going to be listed in the Base app soon, and maybe just Coinbase directly, right? And when you were talking about the stream with me, it's like, dude, all these tokens are about to get these audiences of millions, tens of millions of people, and this is time to actually like showcase everybody and you know, share it and enjoy the stuff we're building together. So I like that. I like it separating the two. The launch now is out of the way. We'll touch on it tomorrow, check in, see how it's doing, but the focus tomorrow is the builders that are coming on. So I dig that.
Yep. Yeah. And, you know, another thing that we did through the token launch is, and this is broken down in the article. So we allocated 12% of the tokens to essentially the virtuals ecosystem, right? Now, keep in mind that I understand that you would have been able to purchase 37.5%, but we've already, I want people to stop making that comparison in their mind because that was in truth an unrealistic thing for a team like us, right? So it's
Can you
very
explain why?
important to, yeah, I mean, we just can't sell 37.5% of the supply for $200,000,
And
right?
is that required with the virtuals Genesis launches? It's 37% for pre-sale.
Well, the right now the Genesis launches are set at 37.5% for their pre-sale, and then 12.5% goes to liquidity. So essentially, you give up 50% of your token supply for $222,000,
Yep.
which I will say is a very fair thing for appropriate teams, right? So I'm not throwing shade there. For teams like us, I mean, what we wanted to do with the tokens that we were giving away is make sure that we were incentivizing the right things so that what we didn't end up with was just a bunch of people who really are just looky-loos here for a lottery ticket and aren't actually invested and involved in the virtuals ecosystem. So instead, what we did is we airdropped to the people we know are day ones for virtuals, the stakers, the ones that we know are day ones for Ringfence and our data agent owners and our Chavy stakers. And then we allocated 7.5% for what we are calling the agent fund. So we are setting up an agent ecosystem fund. And this fund is going to be used to foster growth within the virtuals ecosystem. For how this is going to play out practically, first and foremost, it's going to be in the Baltics. I'm very involved in the Baltic startup scene. I live in a very small country. I'm fortunate to have contacts in places that can certainly help builders get their shine. And there's so much technical talent here that is just completely lost with what to do in this new world. And they're also very undervalued. Anyone who's from this part of the world understands that there are some of the best and brightest developers anywhere, and they make peanuts compared to what their counterparts in the US or even in Western Europe make. So it's always been a passion of mine to support these young 19, 20-year-old founders that are like either finishing college or just getting done. They've got a good idea, but they just need either a kick in the butt or, you know, a few $1,000s in cash to get them going. And then our goal is essentially to use this fund to be a top of funnel for Genesis, right? Now, selfishly, the more agents that launch on Genesis, the more customers potentially that Ringfence has. However, the other side of this is that how the more launches that come through Genesis, the more all of us are able to get exposure and build our portfolios to what could be a massive and growing opportunity, right? I mean, I can talk about this a lot. I mean, we thought about this a lot, right? So if it sounds like I've got a lot to say, it's because I understand this was a 24-hour process for most people watching this, but I've been talking about this for 24 months, right? So like literally. So this isn't something that's fly by night. Nothing that I do is by accident. Nothing. Like everything is on purpose, right? I kept posting things about the number 15, right? Like if you looked at when we took the snapshot for Chavi, if you looked at when we took down the Genesis launch, right? You're going to have to look at it in my time zone, but it was all, it was all numbers that added up to 15. And when we
What is it
actually,
about 15?
I mean, it's the check over my left shoulder. So over the left shoulder behind me, 15 is my lucky number. It always has been. It was my first, my number when I played basketball when I was younger, and it's just always stuck with me. Now, coincidentally, if you look at like the numerology of 15, it's also really dope, right? So it's very applicable to startups. It's mostly about, focusing on getting prosperity and innovating and changing and growing, right? Which is, it's just cool. So it's a little bit of lore.
Okay, I like it. I like lore. It's interesting. I'm going to get some more questions. Well, I think for the first time, get to see some of the questions from the chat. And I will ask this question because one of the first comments made to me before we streamed is, again, thinking it's an unfair way to launch and saying, we haven't seen, and as best I know this is true, a prototype agent launch on virtuals and actually bond. I think that's true. I'm not 100%. So this would be the first. But saying that if this were really launched when nobody tipped off, we wouldn't see it bond in a second and rip to 2 mil. So who is buying right there? I think I already know the answer, but who is that's buying, right at launch?
Well, so the only people that could buy any tokens at launch were buying directly from the liquidity pool because none of the tokens were circulating. So that's why the price is doing what it's doing. Right now, essentially, you've got what, 7% ish of the supply out. And most of that is with our community, right? So I doubt they're going to sell now. Our first round that we ever raised was at a 6.75 million valuation. So even still at this launch price, people are getting a discount to our very, very first round, right? So like, while you guys are upset maybe that you're getting it at this price, I've got a whole other cohort of people that I'm trying to talk off a ledge to help them understand that like we need to allow everyone to win together, right? And that is what crypto used to be. Like it used to be VCs got early access to deals, but on listing, there was always an opportunity for an entry that was similar to the VCs. And if you look back at Solana as an example, right? Like I didn't get in on the Solana ICO, but I think I bought it on exchange for like 75 cents per Solana, right? And like I was happy with it. It was as close as I, as an unaccredited investor at that time, could acquire those tokens, right? And ultimately, it was able to change my life. Now, the reason for that was because I didn't look at it like, oh, I missed it, right? I was evaluating the long-term potential of a project relative to where my entry was, right? And this is for all investing. Now that I've done this for a few more years and I've got a little bit more skin in the game and I've had a lot of licks that I've taken and a few wins, when you're looking at an investment, you're just looking at the multiple and the potential to get to that multiple. It doesn't matter if you enter at 200K and exit at 20 mil, or you enter at 20 mil and you exit at 2 billion. The gains are the gains. You're measuring for that and you're looking for where the best, safest opportunity is, right? The other side of all of this game that we're playing is like, don't you guys like to sleep at night? Like I know that like I've lived in the trenches before and it is a grind because you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh shit, has this team rugged? You wake up in the morning, you're like, oh my God, what bad news is going to come, right? And what I want people to understand when they're looking at Ringfence as a company, and this is the same thing that I told my investors, we're operating in a very, very new space. Everything is incredibly experimental. You are betting on the team, right? Anything outside of the team is just a directional bet on the industry and innovation. So if you believe that me and my ways are going to be able to take Ringfence to somewhere higher than it is today, and AI is going to continue to proliferate and virtuals is going to continue to exist in 10 years, that is the information that you need. There's no amount of tokenomics that I'm going to release that's going to be like, oh, that's it, right? Because at the end of the day, there is not a realistic scenario where a team can give up the majority of their token supply to a community who may or may not use their product, which really generates their revenue, right? And risk the potential backlash. Because the other side of this that we've all seen, right? A dead chart kills a project as well. right? So we have to make sure that we balance everything, and we're catering to not only the people who are interested in our token product, but also the people who we know we're setting up to use our technical product in the future, which is really where our revenue generation is going to come in.
Yep. So back to like just again the very beginning, the very the actual launch tokens live buying is what team? This is not or snipers like who?
We bought the whole supply. So when you launch a virtuals, like when you launch on prototype, right, you have the opportunity to buy all of your supply, and we did.
I see. Okay. All right. Yeah. See, so we're so used to the Genesis launches. I think people don't know how the prototype process, and workflow even works here. So you guys bought token supply.
Yeah, I mean, the other side of this is that I don't think a lot of people realize how tokens used to be launched, right? Like you didn't used to have launch pads that like automatically did things for you. Like before, you created your smart contract and then you released it into the wild. You always owned 100% of the supply. You just use percentages to do different things. So you use some to set up your liquidity pool. You use some for marketing or whatever, right? But what has happened is we've evolved to this place where now we have launch pads. And then this thing came up called a bundled launch, right? And now a bundle launch is different from how we operate our launch, or Virtuals allows people to operate the prototype launchpad, because the bundle launch is intended to obfuscate where things go, right? Which tokens go where, who holds what, who's the dev, who's the team. It's all behind a veil. With us, I mean, you guys are already complaining about where the tokens are held, so I know you see where they are, right? We're not trying to hide anything. Our goal is just to make sure that we do what is best for everyone involved, and we're going to continue to provide the transparency that people are looking for along the way to give them that peace of mind that they're with the right team.
Yeah. Okay. I think a fair, transparent answer there. I guess if you did Genesis, you could in your tokenomics, hold back those tokens for the team anyways and have gotten them for free, as opposed to just doing this and buying it on the open market here.
Yeah. And it's Genesis is going to be a great fit for a lot of teams. We hope to help promote we hope to help promote a lot of the Genesis launches that are upcoming, because we do think that it's still going to be the mainstay for virtuals. But like I said, I think we need spontaneity. I think we need to have teams like Mamo, like Tibber, and hopefully Ringfence ends up in that same category or quality of teams. But we need more. Like that 3 isn't enough, 5 isn't enough. We need 100, and we need that 100 to happen randomly so that everyone stays focused on Ringfence all the time.
And that I think is a perfect way to segue to this, where people like have these feelings. Maybe it's changed, as we've gotten 10 minutes, whatever, 20, 30 minutes into the conversation, but like having that kind of feeling about this, that this was done to fill some VC's bags. Again, there's different projects that is who you have to look out for to a degree. These are people that have funded you. And so, I mean, it's part of what's going on here, right? I mean, these are VC tokens that were bought up early. And I think that's okay. If that's
the VCs, the VCs, none of our investors have their tokens.
And will they? Like, where are they getting tokens from?
Of course they will, right? So we have 2 tranches of investors, right? We've got our pre-seed round; those will vest over 12 months. Their first tranche of tokens hits at on the 15th, right? August 15th. That's my lucky number. So on the 15th of every month, you can count on an unlock of tokens happening. Now, what we have done is we have set this up so that, again, it's fair to everyone. VCs are able to recoup their investment over time as they choose to do, which is their right. We are responsible for ensuring that when they do that, we don't have a negative impact on other holders. Like if we unlock, let's say, 20% of the token supply all at once and gave it to people who we knew they were actually going to dump, it'd be a problem, right? But if we have this system where we're careful about how we emit the tokens, in this case over 12 months, it ends up being like about 2% of the supply per month that is emitted. And frankly speaking, if the chart can't absorb 2 million of potential sell pressure, and I know all of our VCs aren't going to sell, but if you can't absorb 2% in a month of sell pressure, you're probably a bullshit project anyway, right? So we're not too worried about that. Our goal is to just like stay heads down, keep building. The chart's going to go up, the chart's going to go down. We're not going anywhere. And that's the most important thing to understand.
Yep. Okay, great. Let's see. From Cats, and I have thoughts about this. Posting Genesis launch, having people saving points, then rugging last second is BS. That to me is just feels getting involved, which is fair, but we have to allow projects to change their mind. We can't, like, I hate for us to be in a spot where the thing you said a month ago or a week ago, you have to do because, well, at this point, the community demands it. We have to be flexible. We have to let people build the way that makes sense for them, even if that changes, a week after. And this is where reputation comes into play. You allow the people who've been in this space building and doxed, allow them to make those decisions the same way. I don't like the virtuals governance stuff. I trust them to make the right decisions, and sometimes they won't. Most of the time, I think they will. The teams that I want to bet on, I want them to make the right decision. I'm not an expert with a lot of this stuff. I don't understand the tokenomics, but I'm going to trust that somebody like Whitney is making the best decisions for that project to succeed going forward. And so, me personally, going from Genesis to prototype, I don't see the downside other than maybe it did affect some points plans. Maybe.
Well, so let's talk about that. So it's really important that, like, I think we have Aristotle tomorrow, right? It seems to be pretty hyped. I mean, no matter when we pulled back, it was going to impact some people. You can't, unfortunately, like, you can't be everything to everybody. But if the worst case scenario is we didn't give you a place to spend your points, I'm okay with that. And I know that sucks to hear, but like, it would be so much better than us like letting it happen, letting you put your money in and then trying to figure shit out on the fly, right? There's always going to be places that you can spend your points. Sure, some will expire. I get where you're coming from. But just it's a bit of give and take.
Yeah, and also the Genesis point system and the Genesis law, it's not perfect. There will be scenarios where points go bye-bye because it's not perfect. I mean, hell, there could be another project you were planning for and they are a legit rug, and we see rugs. We see actual rugs on the platform. There's a million ways that you could have plans for points, and the points and the plans change. I think we need to just assume that happens here. And I still, again, benefit of the doubt for somebody who's building and has that track record.
And I will say, I do have a feeling that we're going to hear some pretty crazy news from virtuals soon, in a good way, right?
Okay.
And it's just based on the fact that like base is going to be nuts, right? And virtuals, in my opinion, is the premier base protocol. So I think we would be negligent as a group, right? So just like look at all that we're moving towards and be like, meh, right? Like for us, I don't even care what the token valuation is right now. Like just wait. Like allow me to start marketing and selling products to 10 million American users, right? Like this is what I do. Like I love communicating with people. I love packaging complex things into simple yes, no answers that people can just make a snap decision and purchase. And I'm really excited for this. So we've got a ton of opportunity there. I saw that comment, right? I want to address that. Like, I cannot express to you how important it was to me that the order of operations was correct in this launch. I was anal with how people receive tokens. Like, it had to be stakers first, right? And
was
we
that this
talk
comment?
about this
Okay.
why wait an hour to make the CA public, right? I wasn't even paying attention to the CA being public, right? Like for us, it was mostly about making sure that everyone had the tokens in their wallet that we wanted to before we said anything about anything. So yeah, that's the reason for it. It wasn't some big long delay on purpose. We were intentional about wanting to focus on launching first and then beginning comps. There's no reason to rush it because like we're not going anywhere. And you'll notice that with everything. We may not do things the traditional way because we're like it or not, you're stuck with me for a long time, right? So I'm going to do things at my pace, and I think that they're going to be the right things, and I'm excited to take everyone on this journey with Ringfence. But sometimes you're not going to understand what I'm doing. Feel free to ask, and if I can answer, I'll always answer.
And there's some supporters of this too, and to be very clear, I am a supporter of this move. I like it. Like I said at the start, I wanted something different and fresh, and even if a prototype type launch isn't fresh in crypto, again, a traditional launch, it's fresh for virtuals, man. We needed something to kick us in the butt and bring some excitement and bring exactly this kind of thing happening now. Us arguing, debating, having a conversation about, is this good, bad for the space, good, bad for the team, good, bad for us as traders. We need these kind of things to get people engaged, and we will get to that answer at some point. Maybe it's not today. We find out in a week, we find out in a month, we find out in a year, but these things have to happen for us to be able to have those conversations. And man, I do appreciate you doing this kind of thing. And, again, throwing us the curveball. Mufasa likes it, Chad Move. I'm there. I think Chad move. You can never please everybody. Someone's going to cry about the, and I'm like, I'm a sensitive guy. When people are feeling a kind of way, like they're like left out and it didn't go like according to their plan, I get it. Like I
Me
hate that. I
too.
wish it could work out
Me
perfect
too.
for everybody. I do.
Me too.
Um,
It's a
but
dad
again,
thing. You got, if you have
that's
more
it.
than one child, almost every day you're stuck in a situation where like, no matter what, somebody's going to not be happy with this. And
Always.
yeah, and it always feels bad, right? But again, at the end of the day, you got to do what's best long term for everyone.
Yeah, Doge Toshi, it's not about the points. Okay, let me see here. They farmed mindshare for free. I don't follow that. I mean, there is a mindshare Arbus thing that's coming up. There's, getting the hype of it being on the Genesis board, sure, but I don't think that was calculated to be it's on Genesis. People will talk about it because it's on Genesis, and then we switch to prototype. I don't feel like that's how it went. Also, if that's how it went, I don't know
Well,
why that would be a bad thing, but
yeah, I mean, we were already number one or number two on the mindshare board on Arbus before we even started our mindshare campaign, right? Now, the other side of this is that we are, again, we knew our motives, but I mean, anyone who's participating in the mindshare campaigns, they're getting their tokens. I mean, those have already been sent to the teams, right? So if you're participating in the Arbus campaigns, or you're working with the Amplify team, it's coming, right? Like you've already got, like they're already distributed. They're going to go to the people that they need to go to for helping us the way that they've helped us. We honor our commitments. Okay, I see this one. All right. Okay, how do we want to handle this? I
and
feel
by the
like
way, you notice the theme. It's the VC is the thing that people like to degens. It's an icky thing, and so it's good we address it. VCs are a part of some of these teams, a lot of these teams, and it is good to air it out.
yeah. So here is how we approached our cap table. Our biggest shareholders, they invest, but they're not VCs, right? Our biggest investor is Near Foundation, and the reason that we have this relationship with Near is because they're a deep tech company that has built some amazing solutions, which we've talked about before. And like that's who we wanted to have the biggest stake in us, right? Because that means that they have a financial interest in our success. So that like when me as like a lean startup founder comes to them and says, "Hey, sir, may I please get this, scrap of knowledge that can help me improve my product for free instead of spending $100,000 to do R&D myself?" Near helps, right? So not only do they provide the capital, but they provide the know-how and they provide the assistance when we need it, right? The other side of this is that, and I know like when it comes to the mindshare comment, right? Attention is everything. I don't know if like businesses understand this, but you have to capture attention. Like look at Base. Base is only in existence right now because Jesse by himself went out and like paid for stuff in OP, or got people on live streams, or went door to door, or created a juice for Erewhon, right? Like why does Coinbase need a juice? Attention. Everything is attention. And this is really where I love living and having fun, because attention is something that I'm pretty good at stirring up when I need to. So yeah, but let's talk about the other investors. We do have actual VCs on our cap table, but they're awesome. So we have NextGen, which is a VC, a Web3 VC. We have Morningstar Ventures, Morningstar Capital. We have Curiosity Capital, who they have been amazing. Like those two guys have helped us in such an amazing way. And I don't know. I feel like for the angels and KOLs, I need to bring up a list. I can't share screen because it's a private investor that might have some sensitive info. But let me just read these off. Generally speaking, if you just and type in the name of a major crypto influencer KOL who's been in the space for more than a couple of years, chances are they have invested in Ringfence. Our angels include people like Anthony Logan from Noir. We have Lull DeFi. We have Kong BTC. We have Rookie XBT. We've got Trader Main, Crypto Cactus, Ponzi Traders, Stillman, the guys at the Marshland Capital Group, FOMO Ventures, Cuban Tobacco, Ice Bags. I mean, on and on and on, right? We were very conscientious of who we allowed to come in that first round. And so what we did is mostly what we just took small checks from friends. And a lot of these people are friends of ours. So it's very important to know.
You know,
What's
DK
up,
here.
brother? Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
I
this
know
is
DK.
cool. So here's DK saying they're a day one investor in Ringfence, zero knowledge of the launch. If they maybe knew that it was going to be, and I don't know that they did, but go from Genesis to prototype, they didn't know when. And they bought it
Tomorrow.
on the open market. Is tomorrow what people were thinking? It's when I thought.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it's
That's what
tomorrow.
we told
Um,
everybody. Yeah, it's consistent. Everybody knows or nobody knows. That's how we operate.
Yep. VCs did not get to dump nor buy earlier than you, how it should be. And I was going to make a comment here too, which is if this launched as a Genesis launch, I think this would look a lot different right now, which is the guys look, there's the guys who've been grinding their points, via mindshare, via trading, and there's just the point whales that are out there. There's also still a problem with a lot of people with a ton of points that are doing it inorganically, and they get in on every drop, and and you know what happens? You get a token that's launching at a 200K FDV and it shoots up to 3 mil, 5 mil, whatever. And they're sitting on, I don't know, a 25X at this point. They're selling, they're dumping. That is
Right.
absolutely would have happened on this token at this point already. And we'd be crying about that. We will always find something that we don't like that, we didn't get to do it. So it sucks. Just to say that the Genesis thing would have been gamed and we would have had a problem with that too. No
Yeah.
perfect solution, although I think
Yep.
this is the more pure one.
Well, I just got to try new stuff, right? Like we just got to do things. So, yeah, a lot of our investors messaged to ask if our X account was hacked. That
I
was
mean,
like the number one comment.
dude, I messaged you and
So,
I said, "Did the token launch?" And you're like, "It did, it did." And nobody knew, and I appreciate the hell out of that. And
yeah.
if you don't want to believe it, guys, this is where just please, give the guys who've been building and with the reputation the benefit of the doubt. It's the shitty people in the space who give the rest a bad reputation. When you see something that might look sort of like their thing, it doesn't mean it is. The good reputation guys I'm gonna bet on, and I trust them. I take them at their word. It also goes to show how important things like ethos is things that are measuring reputation. It comes forward, even stuff like we're building like separately, just reputation does matter. And I think you got it, Whitney. You do. From what I've known of you here, you do. People will always be complaining whether they got points or not. Organic growth. Um, do you see? Will you be able to cross Mamo? I mean, that's now the goal for Ring. Get to Mamo levels, and this is the start. This is the setup.
So my goal is still to buy all of the tokens that we're going to release to the market, right? So first focus for us is profitability. We're always going to talk about our token product. We're going to keep eyes on it. We're going to obviously this is a big priority for us. But me as the leader of this business, my goal is to make sure that now I go out and make a boatload of money so that I can come back to the market and buy all of your tokens from you. So it's going to be fun. Like we're looking forward to using this as just really an engaging thing where hopefully we can get some ride or dies that are eager to try out our products once we release consumer stuff that people can play with. Yeah. So, and I will say, if you guys aren't following DK, quality follow. He has been in the space for a long time. He knows a ton. I know he's bigging us up right now. But this guy knows his stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I knew of DK before. I'm looking for him on X to follow here. Followed. Yeah, very cool. Are there any other big, just really, important points you wanted to make sure to get across? I feel like you got them, but we can probably wrap this in. Part of this conversation, like, look, I'm sure we'll touch on this tomorrow too. Just we're going to be live for 12 hours. I'm sure it's going to come up again. Tomorrow's a celebration of the virtual space and beyond the crypto space. But yeah, I guess before we're out, final words again. Any important things you just want to make sure people know?
Give generous assumptions, right? Like as a builder, I am fine. Like you can come in and call me a scammer. I'm okay with that. Like I know who I am, right? But there are going to be builders that come into the space that aren't, right? They're new. So, like be mindful of that. Like most of these people really are trying to do something special. But I mean, dude, if you're 19 and this is your first shot that you've taken at any kind of thing ever in your life, and you're met with a bunch of people who are saying just hostile shit, you're definitely going to leave the ecosystem and probably never come back. And potentially it puts you on a different life course. So I always say that, like, just give people generous assumptions. Now, if you're putting capital at risk, generous assumptions go out the window. You should always assume that everyone's out to get your money. But when we're talking about something like in our situation where there was no ask, it was just looking at stuff on X. right? Like, let's not let ourselves get too worked up over everything. And then the last point that I want to make, because this has been brought up as well, is just addressing the data agent comments that have come up. You will find that our data agents, that the people who supported us through our data agent sale in November of last year, they're happy, and I'm happy that they're happy. It was a really important thing for us to make sure that these people they saw our original vision and they pivoted with us into this new way of building, that they are now in a good position. And it's such an exciting thing. So yeah, I'm always available, guys. Just message me. I'm happy to jump on a call with you. Frankly, jump on a call with anybody. Don't send me links. I'm not going to do that. I'll send you a link if we're going to get on a call. But yeah. Oh, and for all the people who are messaging me on Telegram asking if I'd like you to pump my token, no, please stop DMing me.
You can't avoid that shit. It's on X and Cato, people wanting to connect and farm, and yes, the token listings and dude, unrelenting. But there's Whitney again. Follow him, and he's fucking awesome, and he does answer any questions. He does. So open book there, and open door. Reach out to him if you have those questions. Let me think. What else? We'll get Ringfence up here.
Let me cover one thing. I want to make sure that I double down on this so that everyone knows. Okay. We will have on-chain treasury management. Okay. So our treasury is to fund that's what a treasury is. It funds the business. Now, this does not mean that it's controlled dumping. These will be updated. This does not mean that we're the team is selling. What we are looking to do is opportunistically sell tokens at a good value that we can then use to fund the ongoing development of the business, which then generates revenue, which then allows us to buy back the tokens. So it's all a flywheel, right? But again, team tokens will be put in wallets where everybody can see. Our locks will be public. You guys will have the ability to see everything that is going on behind the scenes.
Love it. Love it. And the token's looking great here. I cannot wait to see. And now I got to go get in because I didn't have the insider scoop. I didn't get to get my tokens yet. So I will be in supporting. Dude, I like this a lot. Let me think. I'm going to share our show because that's still on and it's going to be epic. And have you announced any of the people coming on this show tomorrow?
So we're still finalizing as is crypto, right? It's last minute for a lot of people. We have a lot of amazing teams. We've got the Sage team coming on. We've got the Flight team coming on. We have Near coming on. We have Aether likely to come on, Impossible Finance likely to come on, hoping to get some of our KOL buddies on, but I think they're just chilling, right? Like they're not actively building stuff. So we don't want to highlight people who are just crypto rich. We're looking to highlight people who are in the game and in the fight. Gosh, we've got you running your swarm report on the stream, which is going to be dope. Yeah. Who am I missing? There's so many people.
Yeah, I think Bunchy's coming on and
Yes.
Billy Betts, and we got Blue Decks coming on, and I think Whack AI and Nick, and it's kind of the who's who here in virtuals. So, and I think maybe beyond a couple of guests kind of even outside of virtuals. Yeah, it's pretty stacked. It's going to be special.
And Bunchy, by the way, tomorrow is the kickoff of NFL preseason.
Oh,
so shit. We're going to have Billy Betts on the show at the tail end just before kickoff. So I'm really excited. And Bunchy's great. He used to host a podcast for a long time. So that's going to be a fun combo.
Something hit me yesterday morning. I was digging into some tokens and looking for things that are just really undervalued in this market. And it was like, I just couldn't not see Billy Betts. Like I laser focus. I'm like, dude, that one is so much potential. I bought a big old bag and I spent my whole show yesterday just gushing over Billy Betts. I think it's special. So extra excited to get him on here tomorrow too. 6 a.m. tomorrow. That's 6 a.m. Eastern time till 6 p.m. Eastern time. Like incredible marathon stream. Dude, I'm going to be honest. I'm probably going to go off the rails a bit and start talking like UAP alien stuff. I hope you don't mind. Good. It's just what I do on long streams. So
no, it's fine. I'll bring some tin foil. We'll get into it.
Thank you. I've got a tinfoil yarmulke I made. It's somewhere on my desk here. I do. It'll be a blast. All right, guys. Man. I think we were planning to do this for like 15, 20 minutes, whatever, as long as it's needed to answer those questions. I hope people are satisfied, even if it's not perfect for you and it's not what you were wanting, but I hope you're satisfied with the answers. If not, keep the questions coming, right? Drop them in the comments on the video. Again, Whitney said, hit him up. Hit me up too, and I can ask the questions too and help answer them. But this is just something we're going to kind of keep working through over the next, again, days, weeks, months, whatever. Whitney's not going anywhere. So can't wait to be supporting you in that token.
Hudah, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate the time. And this happened within 15 minutes, so I appreciate you accommodating.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Love doing it, and I think you're great. And we'll do it tomorrow. Run it back.
Let's go.
There we go, guys. Have a
Thanks,
great
guys.
day. Yeah, check out that stream. Make sure you bookmark it, and we'll see you then. Goodbye.